Hello, welcome. My name is Gina Miranda and I'm a king, which is the keeper of the calendar, Mayan calendar. In this time we're going to talk about some stuff that, this is number 5 in the series of talks that we've been doing about the Mayan calendar. In one of the episodes I was writing about the numbers and I made some mistakes. I sometimes space up things. This is the way that you represent the 20. The 0 and a dot up high about, 1 dot and another dot high is the 21, 1 dot and 2 on top is 22, and so on. And then if you're gonna put 40, then you put a 0 and 2 dots on high. So this is the way that the counts go, the numbers go represented in the numerical system of the Maya. Last time I think I made I didn't put it correctly. This time I was trying to explain to you some of the logic and some of the reasonings about these different wheels that I was talking about, because I gotta get into them, and I'm gonna get even more in further classes, further talks, Right now we're gonna get more or less the general idea about each of these cycles. So we have the Solkin, it's 260 days, which is the main wheel of the calendar. You can say I talked to you in the other talk that this wheel has been the wheel that has been used since the Europeans killed everybody from the Mayans. This is the only wheel that has been taught generation after generation, and later on they tried to add the second wheel, which is the half, the solar. How you come up with 260? The Maya philosophy indicates that we had 20 forces of the universe. Those 20 forces multiplied by 13 because it's 13 dimensions in the universe. Each one of these 20 take turns ruling for 13 days. So if you do that 13 by 20, you come up with 260. That's how that numbers come out, out of only 20 symbols. With 20 symbols, you come up with 260. But you gotta count, sequences of 13, trecenas, or 13 numbers. The next one, the half, which is the solar, is 365 days, which is the same like the European year, which is 365 days. Sometimes it's 366 because this other calendar is all very strange. The one that we use right now, the European, it's a very bad calendar. It's got a lot of bad errors in it. But the one they have for the Maya is 18 months of 20 days every month. Why 20? Because we were talking about the 20 forces of the universe, and because human beings have 20 toes, 20 fingers, which, like I said, all this calendar thing has a connection to biology and to nature. It's not a capricious thing that somebody made up like the European calendar is. Then we talk about the Shahalak. Shahalak, this is a wheel that nobody in Central America or Mexico is using. Where did this come from? It's 360 days. This comes from an obscure thing that archaeologists find in some of the stone. There is something called the 9 Lords of the Night. And these are 9 symbols that are inscribed in stones. They repeat concurrently with other dates, 1 to 9, 1 to 9, 1 to 9. Archaeologists concluded that maybe they call it Nights, Lords of the Nights, because it seems like it's a connotation about nights and some of the accompanying glyphs that go with these 9 things. And so they figured they were gods of the night, whatever. And they tried to find the names for it, but the names is nowhere to be found because the Maya has not kept this tradition of remembering what are the names of these things. But they agree that it probably were shaks. That's the general name they use for those 9 things in general, In the case of the Aztecs, there was because the Aztec calendar is a copy of the Mayan, a bad copy of the Mayan calendar, and then they copy these things and they gave it names. and those names represent something else totally for the Aztecs or the Mexica. You can find them and still use, and those names are still there. And some of the figures or drawings or you can say glyphs that represent these 9 things. And the names are like something like Xalxutlicue, Ixtli, Tlaloc is number 9. In Tepeyoyotl, Tlazolteotl, stuff like that. But those doesn't relate at all with the philosophy of the Mayans. The Aztecs had a different idea about these 9 things. In the case of the Maya, how did I come up with these 360 days? And I shouldn't say how because I get these connections and dreams and things that tell me about stuff. So how this happened is you got 9 glyphs. You got 9 glyphs that repeats. In another class I might show you the glyphs that actually represent these 9. I don't have it with me in the strips, so I just can't show it to you, but how that is a secret count that is hidden in here. The Maya didn't have to explain this kind of stuff in the stone. Why do it? If it's like, here in the calendar you can write 1 to 7, 1 to 7, 7 numbers, and you know it's a week. You don't have to specify that has to be a week. Everybody knows this. In the time of the Maya, this was the same thing. The 9 lords of the nights had rulings, just like we have the examples of the Soul King. You got 20 symbols, and out of those 20 symbols you come up with 260 different possibilities. Distinct possibilities. And the same thing for the 9 lords of the night. In this case we got 9, and we use the holy numbers of the Maya. As I explained, the Mayas thought that God is a mathematician, and they use number 1 is holy, number 4 is holy, number 9 is holy. So in this case you cannot use number 1 because you don't do nothing. You can use number 9 because it encompasses the whole group of glyphs. So you have to use 4 as a key to open the understanding of these glyphs. So how you do is a count of this guy, number 1, began ruling for 4 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then this one began ruling for 4 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this one began ruling for 4 days. 9, 1, 2, 3. And see, this way you come up with 4 by 9. Because it's 9 of them, and I repeat all this time. 4 by 9 is 36. 36 is a perfect number because it's a holy number. It's 3 and 6 is 9. And then you multiply that by 10 to create the magical 360 circumference for the Maya. That was an amazingly godly thing. The 300 circumference number was just very holy to them. So this is the cracking of the mysteries to solve the Shahalar. I call it Shahalar. Why do I call it Shahalar? Well, I didn't have a name for them. Like I don't have a name for each one of these because they got lost. But the logical assumption is if the Mayan, the traditional elder says there are chaks, so I call this with the Mayan numerals. So this is chak hum, this is chak ox, and then you got chaka, chak ox, chak kan, chak ho, chak wak, and you use the numeral Mayans to give it the names, and that's what I've done in my books, in my publications, the conference that I do. And then after giving those numbers, those names, you can identify them by a Mayan name instead of what the archaeology says. 909, Lord of the 9-1, Lord of the 9-2, Lord. That's how they say it in books. And you can find them in books or in the internet, the explanation of what the archaeologists say, but they don't know what these things are. So, what it is related to? I think that the 9 lords of the nights are the planets. That's another mystery, but I think it shows the Maya knew the existence of Uranus and Neptune, which archaeologists fight about and said, no, it's impossible. The Maya could not know about Neptune or Uranus because they didn't have telescopes. But Uranus and Neptune can be seen with your own eyes, so you just need the right atmospheric conditions to see it. Neptune is a little difficult, you might need a little bit of help with a binocular. Uranus you can actually see with your eyes in a dark place. And you gotta think, and in those days there was less pollution in the sky than what we have now. So that explains this count, and it shows the proof that the Maya knew about Neptune and Uranus. They didn't count Pluto, okay? I want to make sure that this does not include Pluto. Then we have the Ixab, which is the lunar count. The lunar count, they have 384 days. You come up with that because the cycles of the moon, 29 days, and or 30 days sometimes. You multiply by 13 and you get around that number. It's variable. And that's key to understand a lot of the other mysteries of the Maya. Then we have the Kawil. The Kawil is 819 days. Scientists can't figure it out what that is. But I find out that, look at this number here, and you divide the 29 by the 819, you get 28. And if you divide the number of these by these other numbers, this by that number, you get 2.1. So that means that the Kawil was counting 2 lunar years in that count. So this is my understanding. That is not into any publication, but my own books I explain this. And then finally we got the Junumachika. The Junumachika is 949. 949 is amazing because it tells us the Maya understood fractions, because this is perfect combination of different counts. That's what this means, the togetherness of all these big counts. 949 divided by 365, it gives you 2.60. It gives you the Sol King. It's amazing, but it's fraction. And the Maya knew this. And then if you divide 949 by 260, you got 3.65. So again, it's an amazing proof in how the Maya actually understood fraction. And with this, I'll close this talk for today. I just wanted to give you the insight about what my findings are about these mysteries of the calendars that nobody else has, that I know of, has cracked. I published this in my books, and many people, I've gone to universities, do seminars. Okay, goodbye, Matios.